Hey, greetings. Welcome, family, to another wonderful, entertaining, educating edition of We All Be News. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for this empowerment segment. Excuse me, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. We got a great one for you all today. Should be an instant classic of greatness, Black excellence, unsung, all those great things. So much stuff going on right now out there in the world today. But I'm just here to say, know that the best is yet to come. We're going to have on today, our guest will be Sister Gloria Clark Jackson, who is the sister. She is her true brother's keeper of Mark Clark. That was the defense captain of the Black Panther Party of Illinois, who was assassinated by the state apparatus along with Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. on December the 4th, 1969. So we'll have that on, and I hope y'all ready. I'm checking the sound, make sure the sound quality is decent. So we get too far into the thing, because anything can happen during a live show. If you should learn that from 2020. So we get too far into the thing. Yeah, everything looking decent and sounding clear with clarity. So before we get started, let me read the as y'all know, the housekeeping, disclaimer. We living in an age where free speech ain't free. I'll just look, I get these updates on my phone. Okay, let's do this disclaimer. The views expressed by host and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. So we'll get into the show shortly. Time do really fly by when you're having fun and learning so much, but it's going to be a great show. And we got our guest of the hour, of the moment, with us right now in the studio. Put it in. Sister Gloria, how you doing today on this glorious day?
Doing so well. So good to be here. And thank you so much for having me on the program.
It was an honor to have you on. This is Sister Gloria Clark Jackson. She is the sister of the Honorable, the late, great Mark Clark. And she wrote a book about him. And I just want to get this information out. I want people to go buy this book. It's a very great read. I was glad after all these years I learned about the story of Fred Hampton that somebody from his side of Mark Clark's bloodline decided to amplify his story, that sometimes get lost in the telling of that tragic day on December 4th, 1969. So I just want to share the screen. You can get this at Amazon.com. Mark Clark, Soul of a Black Panther. Came out last year. And like I said, it's a great read. I read it a couple weeks ago, and it was just great to hear from somebody who was actually there, as a primary source, somebody who really cared about this young man who sacrificed his life for our people. So y'all get that book, and I'm gonna post it in the chat as well too. So let's get to it.
All righty then. Brother Ron, I've been watching you for a couple of years now.
That was amazing.
So I'm sitting in the background, but I keep up on what's going on. But thank you again so much for having me on the program. I know it's been a while. I have been pretty busy, but I really kind of limit myself to doing live. But I'm so glad that I did decide to go ahead and do this. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's an honor to have you on. And I just want to get down to the get down. I mean, you are truly about making it plain in the spirit of Brother Malcolm. So why did you decide to write this book, and why is it so important to write this book?
Yeah, I decided to write the book after a long deliberation because I really didn't want to write it, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you. But I eventually decided to write it because so little had really been attributed to my brother Mark. And I wanted people to know the person that he was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had been debating on writing the book for several years. And it finally dawned on me when I kept reading articles about Fred Hampton, when they would mention Mark, sometimes they wouldn't even mention his title. They would say the other member or another member of a Black Panther Party. But I kind of, it kind of made me feel like I needed to tell Mark's story because Mark was not only just a Black Panther, like the movie Judas and the Black Messiah kind of depicted him, where they depicted him as kind of coming in at the last minute uh, with his fist up saying, "Hey, I'm Mark Clark from Peoria, Illinois." Mark actually trained with Fred Hampton. And a lot of people didn't know Mark in Chicago because he's not from Chicago.
Right.
Mark is from Peoria, Illinois, and he was the Black Panther leader in Peoria, Illinois, and the founder of the Peoria, Illinois branch of the Black Panther Party. He did all of that. He set up, he organized, he recruited, he set up his own Black Panther Party in Peoria, Illinois.
Mm.
So I wanted to tell Mark's story because he was such a unique individual. I wanted to share what it takes to be a person that's willing to stand and give your life for what you believe in. And that's who Mark was. So um, I wrote the book, and there were several other reasons. I had my granddaughter, she would constantly ask me about what it was like being in the Black Panther Party. And of course, I joined the Black Panther Party at the age of 18 under Mark's leadership. After he had set up the Peoria branch, I joined the Black Panther Party because Mark was such a influence in my life. He was only 3 years older than me, by the way. A lot of times people call me his younger sister, and I have to laugh because I'm 70 and three
He was
years young.
good.
I'm only 3 years younger than Mark. So
Mm-hmm.
um, the thing is that so I grew up with him and we interacted on a daily basis. I knew his personality. I knew the things, I knew the good and the bad, to be honest with you. But Mark has always been, people kind of think Mark was shy and they use that term shy, but I think they are misconfused. They're confused because they misinterpreted the word quiet.
Right.
See, Mark was a reserved person. He was not shy. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He was the leader of the Black Panther Party. So he wasn't shy, but he was reserved. He knew how to study people. And he'd been that way ever since he was, knowing him growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Mark would study an individual and he would let them say what it is that they wanted to say. And then he would judge them based on his assumption of what they was about. And he just had all of these different qualities that he taught me growing up. And so by the time I reached 18, he asked me and my brother Joseph, who was 17 at the time, if we wanted to join the Black Panther Party. And we were real young. Of course, we didn't know if we really wanted to be involved.
Right.
But Mark came to us from a intellectual position. And he was the type of person where he wouldn't let you be on the fence about anything. You make a decision. That's the kind of person Mark was. So he came to me and my brother Joseph, and he asked us if we wanted to join the Black Panther Party. We said we didn't know. And then he said something very profound that I put in the book.
Mm-hmm.
He said, there are many who will talk about the injustice in this country, but only a few will do something about it. Which one are you?
Wow.
That's the kind of person Mark was. He wasn't going to let you be on the fence. He made you make a decision. You either for freedom, liberty, justice, or you're not. And that's what a lot of people today, they want to be hand fed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get out there and do the real research. The thing about this book is that I did a lot of research. It wasn't just about me. Of course, I had a firsthand opinion about it and firsthand knowledge about the book,
Mm-hmm.
but I did a lot of research, and I suggest everybody do research because that's the only way you'll get to the truth. You have to examine what people say, and you have to investigate it for yourself. And with Mark, these are the things that he taught me growing up. So I knew the person that he was. I knew that he was all about freedom and justice, and he was about fair play, but he didn't take no mess. So don't ever think he was shy. Mark was a no nonsense kind of guy. He was very reserved. He would sit back. He would treat you fairly, but he didn't play.
All right.
He did not play. So I felt compelled to write the book because I knew I had firsthand information and I knew that other people didn't know very much about Mark. Um, so that was the reason that I actually wrote the book.
I'm glad you wrote a book. I'm glad you was inspired by your brother's amazing example to write that book, to be a keeper of his flame, a legacy bearer. But I want to know, because you say he's a son, y'all both products of Peoria, Illinois. We all know that arguably the greatest comedian of all time, in my
Right.
opinion, at least stand up, Richard
Yes.
Pryor, is from Peoria,
Yes.
Illinois. Very colorful background. I mean, his grandma was a madam in the city, but how was it growing up? Because I know your daddy was a preacher man, and so
Right.
how was it growing up
Absolutely.
in Peoria back in the 60s in a large
Well,
family?
just to mention about Richard Pryor, our family knew Richard Pryor.
Oh
In
wow.
fact, my older brother Matthew was in a movie. Richard Pryor got him in a movie that he did, and the movie is called Busting Loose.
Oh yeah.
So my brother Matthew is in that movie. He plays the villain because he was kind of a villain. I mean, he could play that role. I'll put it to you that way.
Wow.
Matthew is in the movie, with Richard Pryor and Cicely Tyson. There's a scene where they're fighting. They finally had reached this one place. And anyway, there's a fight scene, and my brother Matthew was one of the so-called bad guys in the movie. Just to mention that about Richard Pryor. But growing up in Peoria we were a tight-knit community, I guess you could say. It was cool being in Peoria. Most of the people, most of the Blacks in Peoria had migrated from the South around the 30s and 40s, like our family did. Peoria was the first home that I had ever, lived in, was in Peoria, Illinois. The city itself was segregated, like most cities are. You had the Black community in one particular area, and then you had more affluent whites and middle class whites that lived in the suburbs and up on the hill. But Peoria was that type of way. When some of the people in Peoria wanted to go to East Peoria, which was across the bridge, where it's predominantly white, you knew you needed to get back home before sundown. And a lot of those cities were called sundown towns.
Right.
And that's where you get that name from, because you would be accosted by a group of whites and beaten or whatever case may be. But during the 60s, um, we grew up during the Jim Crow era. In fact, my granddaughter asked me, did I grow up? I was telling her all these stories, and she ended up saying, so were you in slavery? And it made me laugh because I said, well, I'm old, but I'm not quite that old. But but we did grow up in the Jim Crow era, where this is the time when you were fighting for civil rights. And it wasn't until 1964 that the Civil Rights Bill was even enacted.
Mm.
And so this is the time that we grew up in. Back then, Black people were very close, I believe, more so than they are today. When we met someone or we saw someone walking on the street, we greeted them with, hello, how are you? And they greeted us back, whether we knew them or not. And that was so it's a precious time, you know. We're not like that anymore. We're very distant. We've been separated. We had a certain unity that we don't have now. But it is what it is. And then, of course, during the 1967, they had riots that went across all over the United States. And they were all fighting because there was so much discrimination. Blacks couldn't get jobs, and we're being discriminated and all of that.
Right.
So that brought about the riots, and all of that is a precursor to the Black Panther Party. But these are some of the things that were going on during that time.
So were y'all a part of the NAACP? I know Fred Hampton Sr. was a part of the NAACP. So was that like y'all did join the NAACP?
Well, I didn't join, but my brother Mark did join. Mark had been very active. He was an activist ever since he was about 15 years of age. Wow. He joined the NAACP. Prior to him even thinking about the Black Panther Party, it was all about trying to change some of the negative things that were going on in America. And so he joined the NAACP. He actually even did the March on Washington for Jobs.
Wow. Okay.
And that was when Martin Luther King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. So Mark was a part of that, him and other young men that had joined the NAACP. And so Mark was very instrumental in trying to change some of the negative things that were going on during that particular time. Yeah.
And what type of town was Peoria, like the economy wise? Like, how was it? What was the main employer of the town?
Well, the main employer of Peoria was Caterpillar Tractor Company.
Mm-hmm.
And it still is. Caterpillar is a big, well-known company in East Peoria. So those that got hired had to leave Peoria and go to East Peoria, which is really just right across the bridge. There's a big, large bridge there that separates East Peoria from the city of Peoria. And then you had the Illinois River. And so Peoria sits right there, right on the Illinois River. And Caterpillar Tractor Company is one of the biggest employers in this area of Peoria, Illinois. In fact, my father worked for Caterpillar as a founder in the foundry, in the foundry. So he worked very hard. He had soot on him from head to toe. He worked very hard. He came home. He raised all of us children that he had. Of course, we come from a family of 18.
Wow.
And now 18 was not in the house at the same time.
Okay.
But it still was a big, a lot of children. I kind of look at it like we were raised almost in shifts, like first shift, second shift, third shift because some of my older brothers, Matthew, and some of the older ones, older than him, they actually were 12 to 15 years older than me.
Mm.
So by the time I'm 5 years old, they're up and gone. And many of my older brothers, and I had 11 brothers, by the way.
11 brothers.
I had
Wow, so
11 brothers.
you were well protected then. Nobody bullied you.
Well protected, definitely well protected. Yeah, nobody played with us because we were a big family. We had our own baseball team and what have you. Of course, we liked people and we were real friendly and people liked us, you know. So, but yeah, we were real protected. And Mark was my main protector.
Mm-hmm.
So, didn't nobody play with Mark. Mark, he actually did some Golden what is it? Golden Gloves, boxing. And so he was actually an excellent boxer. So didn't nobody play with Mark. So I kind of want to dispel that notion that he was shy. He was not shy. He was a no-nonsense kind of person, but he was quiet and reserved. He didn't just say words just to be saying it. He didn't just come and run his mouth. He knew how to think about what he wanted to say before he said it. I wish I had that still. But that's how Mark was. He was very reserved.
Wow. I just, it's interesting to hear all this. This is because you talked about sundown towns. Like from my understanding, I think Illinois has more sundown towns than any place in the country. And that's the land of Lincoln and all that. But it's like places like Cicero, Illinois, you couldn't go to outside Chicago for a long time if you was black.
Oh, okay.
And I heard things about they had one town they had a bell they rang to let black folks know you get somewhere inside. And so this is America. And you still got these type of places that exist where black folks but not go out to sundown. And so you grew up in this environment. Yeah. So I didn't want people to know that because people think that everything happens down south. But like Malcolm said, anything south of Canada is Mississippi. America is the South. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I all this down the Mason-Dixon line, but you got this going on in Illinois.
Right.
So it's incredible. So I got to ask you this. Go ahead, sister.
No, that was pretty much what I wanted to say. I just, the thing about the 60s, I do want to talk a little bit about that. In 1960, see, a lot of people don't realize that the 60s, I call them the terrible 60s, because during the 60s, there were at least, and I know much more than that, at least 6 assassinations that occurred during the 60s. And I kind of hint in my book that assassinations are really not meant to be solved because they are deliberately done to hide the truth. And one thing you find in every assassination is that there's always a cover-up and there's always a scapegoat. Now, when I talk about the 6 assassinations, I didn't put this in the book, but I'm going to share a little bit about this.
Okay.
When President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, I was in the 8th grade. And I remember that very well because the principal came over the loudspeaker. I was attending Roosevelt Junior High. And the principal came over the loudspeaker and he said that we're going to let all of the students out early today. And he said something very terrible has happened. The president of the United States has just been assassinated. And when he said that, all of the teachers started screaming and crying. And all of us students, we were in shock. We looked at each other. Now, we had heard about Lincoln being assassinated by supposedly John Wilkes Booth.
Right.
But we never in a million years thought that we would witness or be in the era of an assassination of a president. We thought the president was protected, that there were people that defend the president that are standing there and he's untouchable. And that's an important part, but I'm not going to say any more about that. Mm-hmm. But after his assassination, of course, that was in 1963.
Right.
And then in 1965, you had the assassination of our wonderful brother, Malcolm X. And that was a great tragedy because Malcolm X was brilliant.
Yes.
He was brilliant. He brought the word. He was the real one. Okay. And of course, the story that they tell us is that 3 members of the Nation of Islam supposedly assassinated him. But we know from evidence that the FBI was constantly surveilling Malcolm X. That's the research that I found. Then you go to 1968, April 1968, the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, the FBI is involved with that as well. They had been surveilling him. They had been trying to set him up. You know what I mean? And so he gets assassinated, 1968. Mm-hmm. Of course, during that time, everybody, the majority of people, blacks around the country, you know, were just appalled by that. You mean to tell me you would assassinate Martin Luther King, somebody who only preached nonviolence? Well, if you will assassinate him, what does that say about the rest of us? So you had the assassination of Martin Luther King. And by the way, the very next day, I believe, was when little Bobby Hutton was killed by the police in Oakland, California. And he was in this shootout or whatever the case may be, from what I was told, came out with his hands up and ended up being shot and killed. And so then you go to after Martin Luther King's assassination, then you had Senator Robert Kennedy.
All right.
And the thing about Senator Robert Kennedy is that he was a presidential candidate, and he was actually the person that they really thought was going to win that candidacy. So he comes up assassinated. But the thing about Robert Kennedy, he had I saw a documentary where he came to Indianapolis, the city that I'm in now.
Yes.
And he was doing his presidential campaign. And he was told that Martin Luther King had been assassinated. So he gave this information to the people in Indianapolis and asked them to, you know, be calm and try not to riot and tear up the city, because, you know, we'll go there. But he told them, you know, be calm. And he had a very good rapport with, I think, the Black community. And I think he would have been an excellent president. But 2 months after Martin Luther King was assassinated, in June of 68, Robert Kennedy was assassinated. And then, of course, you get to December 4th, 1969, where you have the assassinations of Defense Captain Mark Clark and Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton. And we know what happened there.
Right.
So we have all of these assassinations going on. And what we have to understand is that when you have an assassination, the first thing that happens is a cover-up. The second thing is a scapegoat. And so when I think of William O'Neill, and of course the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, I personally think William O'Neill is what you would call used as a scapegoat, because he was not the only FBI informant. And in fact, there were about 25 state and local informants as well.
You said, wait, you said 25?
10 FBI, yes.
I know that
according to the research that I've looked at, and I've been doing this research for several months before I even wrote the book. I had to do a lot of research. And this is the information that I came up with. Another thing about William O'Neill is that people don't talk about how he was discovered as an FBI informant.
Right.
And I really didn't get into that in the book. But I did read in some of my research that there was a police officer, which was a state informant, and William O'Neill was an FBI informant, a federal informant. And so they had some type of interaction or discrepancy with each other. At any rate, that police officer went to court on a case.
Okay.
And William O'Neill either testified or was involved in it in some kind of way. Now, I didn't write about that in the book, but that's what I have read during my research. And it's very difficult to find that information now, because now, what they're trying to say is that they just found that information. It was written that William O'Neill was an informant. I don't think that's the case. But for my research, I found research that said that's how he was actually exposed. And then, of course, there was in Media, Pennsylvania, some Vietnam War activists who are against the war in Vietnam. They got together and they raided one of the FBI facilities. And they confiscated, they didn't raid it, they just went in and stole some files.
Right.
And this was during the day that Muhammad Ali, and I think he was fighting somebody. I forget the name right now. But it was a big fight that Muhammad Ali was scheduled to fight. And during that time, while people were paying attention to that fight, they went in and they took these FBI files. So later they found out that the FBI had been doing COINTELPRO. That's how they actually found the first bit of information, because COINTELPRO was not known when Mark and Fred were murdered. They didn't know anything about COINTELPRO at that time. Right. It was years later that they found out about COINTELPRO. Yeah. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's very important, because I now saying all what you just said after all your research, what were your thoughts concerning the movie Judas and the Black Messiah?
Well, the movie, I don't like to not promote a Black producer. I like to promote them, but there are some pros and cons to that movie. And let's just keep it real. One of the cons is that it wasn't totally accurate.
Okay.
Obviously, especially with my brother Mark, they had to depict him in it. He was murdered right along with Fred Hampton. So they had to depict him, but they depict him at the 12th hour coming in, just saying something. And somebody said he was smoking a cigarette. Well, who says he smoked cigarettes? You know what I mean? Mark didn't smoke cigarettes. So at any rate, of course, we were not consulted on the movie at all. But there was some inaccurate information. And the positive thing I will say about the movie is that it gives us an opportunity to talk about what really did happen. And the negative thing about the movie is that it promotes William O'Neill, which is the FBI informant. If you notice that the title of the movie is Judas and the Black Messiah. It's not the Black Messiah and Judas. And that's very telling right there. The first person you see in that movie is William O'Neill. and you see him for a very long time. So they're actually trying to humanize this person who took part in this egregious act of assassination.
Yes.
They're trying to humanize him. And that's the part that I definitely don't agree with about the movie. But that's how movies do. You know, when you watch a movie, you only get, you know, it's entertainment. But, you know, had they done a documentary, they
Mm.
would have had to put more accurate information in there. But instead of them doing a documentary, they did a movie.
Yeah.
And so there are some good things about the movie, I will say that. But, you know, a person who's not going to do their research will look at the movie and say, oh, that's what happened. And that's not really the case. They really need to do their research. I did my research. I don't even tell people to take my word for it. Do your own research. But I do have firsthand information, you know, but certainly I would suggest that everybody do their own research, not only with this, but when it comes to politics as well as religion,
Yes.
because anybody can tell you anything. But if you haven't done any research and if you haven't examined the information, how can you say whether it's true or not?
This is true. You know what's interesting though about the whole thing? Like we know some about your brother Mark. They showed a photo of him. You got a photo of Fred Hampton, even
Right.
William O'Neill, but I cannot find one photo online of Roy Mitchell, the FBI guy who supposed to have been O'Neill's handler. Now
Ah,
they did mention his obituary that he had 9 informers. You said it was 25 overall. They say they had 9 that
well,
reported to
it was
Mitchell. But
it
we don't
was
know their
9
name.
FBI informants, but
Mm-hmm.
there were 25 state and local informants as well.
Do we?
State and
Yeah.
local,
Why the names
state
being?
during
Yeah.
in the police department and you know locally. So there were other FBI informants other than excuse me, there were other informants other than FBI informants, is what I'm saying, according to the research that I found. And
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the research I got from court transcripts. A lot of my research comes from the court transcripts, which are available. And actually, a lot of my research I put in the back of my book so a person can go and look up whatever it is that they want to research, you know.
Yeah. The reason why I said that because I think it's kind of curious that we only know William O'Neill's name. And we got a
Absolutely.
picture of William O'Neill, but we don't know nobody else. The 25, 9,
Right.
whatever, they've been protected. I'm trying to figure out who these people are and are
Absolutely.
they still around and should they be facing some type of charges? I
You
guess they
know
work for the
what?
government. I don't know.
You know what, Brother Ron? That's the one thing that I couldn't understand. And I don't know, I don't hear everything. I'm not in Chicago. But it would seem to me that the Black Panthers in Chicago, because there were some that was real,
Yeah.
and that I do know,
Mm-hmm.
it would seem to me that they would be pushing to try to find out who these other FBI informants were. You know, it would seem to me if you have 9 that you would be trying to, and I haven't heard anybody talk about the other FBI informants or any other informants, be it state. You find it if you look up some of the research, you'll hear something said here and there. But according to my research, I do believe there was a paper. See, a lot of these documents, the FBI documents, had to be presented in the court during that 13-year lawsuit that took place after the murders of Mark and Fred.
Right.
There was a 13-year long lawsuit. So many of the documents that I talk about were in that transcripts. So when you look at some of those transcripts, you begin to piece together what the story was really like. And I will say this, it appeared that some of the Panthers in the apartment, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they were under duress, but some of the stories seemed to change to me. But I'm not even going to go there because I wasn't there. I don't know, but it appeared that way to me. So when you look at the transcripts, these FBI documents that's presented as court evidence, they had the names of some of these other informants and they blacked them out. And so that information was hidden from the court. So that's all I can really tell you. But I would definitely be curious as to know who some of these other informants were, or who, I mean, you can't go around saying this is an informant and that's an informant. You can't do that unless you have some solid evidence. You know what I mean? And if you have solid evidence, then you take it to court. But, I think at this stage of the game, we probably would never know who they are. But just the fact that they were others, and for the movie to concentrate on William O'Neill speaks volumes to me. Why did they not talk about the other informants? They really want you, it's kind of like, the game that they play. They want you to focus over here so that you'll never see what's going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of that divide and conquer routine. So when you know some of the tactics of war, that's what they do. And that's the same way in the media. The media always wants you to focus on one particular thing. The reason is they don't want you to see what's going on over here and around the world.
Right.
So we have to begin to question everything. And when I talk about these things, it's not because I have any malice or hate toward anyone. I don't. Mm-hmm. It's just that the truth needs to be told. And that's really my whole focus, is telling the truth.
I got to ask you, because like you said, the civil trial lasted about 12 or 13 years. Y'all had to go through all that with the courts and stuff. Yeah. So did y'all have any type of intimidation towards y'all from different agencies or individuals? In hindsight, it might have been government connected, or y'all face any other things besides the trauma of losing Mark? What was like those 13 years like? Trying to get answers?
Well, the 13 years was difficult in the sense that we had lost a loved one. And as you know, 6 months prior to Mark dying, my father had died. Mm-hmm. And 6 months prior to him dying, my grandmother had died.
That's tough.
So we were still grieving over all of this trauma. Mm-hmm. And that's why on my very first page, I talk about the trauma in our family and what we suffered. I did that because I really couldn't go on with the story until I expressed what we had went through. So for 13 years, we didn't have any justice, any semblance of justice. And even when we got the settlement, that's never justice.
Right.
A lot of people think, it's a lot of money. And by the time the lawyer get their money and you divide it out with all these different people that was involved in the lawsuit, and then our family being so big, you divvy it up, you don't have anything. And it'll never take away the loss of a loved one, ever. And so, because the lawyers get the majority of it, let's just tell the truth. Yeah. But at any rate, for 13 years, you're going through this state of trauma. You can't recover because you haven't had any semblance of justice. And your brother and your loved one has been murdered, and you still don't get any justice. So you're still under this trauma. But in terms of intimidation, I don't think that I didn't feel intimidated. I did have a sister that said she was intimidated, but, and I won't mention their names because they're family members. But I think for the most part, my mother, being an older woman at the time, she still had 6 young siblings to raise. So for the most part, she was just making it the best way she could. But yeah, it was a very horrific time when Mark was assassinated, murdered, and shot through the heart. And that's really so troubling when I thought about that, because I would remember days when, because I was so close to Mark, I looked up to him. And I would remember days living in Flint, Michigan, where I would be driving down the street and I literally would have to pull over to the side of the road, and I would just be crying and weeping for my brother Mark, the way that he was so tragically killed. It's one thing to die of a natural cause, but when you are shot through the heart with a gunshot blast that goes through your chest and takes out your heart and your lungs. Yeah. And this is what I showed the death certificate, what it showed. It was just horrific for our family. And especially when you know the love and the person that Mark was. He was a true revolutionary.
Yes.
And I wrote this book also because I was reminded of not only Mark. Mark is one person who was a revolutionary, but there were so many others that gave their lives. I was reminded of the ones that have been in prison and are still in prison for over 50 years, Brother Ron. Wow. Over 50 years. Some of them have died in prison because they were in the Black Panther Party and because the police was trying to raid these chapters and these offices. And so they get caught up in this gun battle. And some police officers were killed. That is true. But, you know, if you come for me, what's the natural thing for a person to do? Defend themselves. And so many of them were defending themselves, and I believe were put in upon trumped up charges. But of course, anytime an officer is killed, then you're going to automatically do big time, regardless of whether they were the perpetrator or not. And that's, at least that's how I see it.
I got it.
Because many of them are still in prison today. I was reminded of them. That's why I dedicated the book to them, because they are also fallen soldiers. They are people that stood up to the plate, who decided to fight for freedom and justice. And I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't just Black people. See, the Black Panther Party had a lot of groups of people that were conscious of what was going on, and they didn't agree with it. Many of them were against the Vietnam War. And so that had a lot to do with it. Many of them were against the Vietnam War. And that's why that one group of activists raided that FBI headquarters in Media, Pennsylvania. And they found a lot of information. They found that the FBI was doing surveillance on many Black leaders and groups and was keeping tabs on them without their permission and knowledge. And of course, by now we know that everything goes. But yeah, but that's pretty much, you know, my take on that. And that's just my opinion about it.
Well, I got to ask you, we got a group of people that follows this platform, some very educated, some are very stupid. I mean, they seem like they're very stupid with the trolling, but we need a hero there. But some people want to know, since you said about some of the Panthers being longtime political prisoners, what about, somebody made an interesting point. I'm gonna share it. The informants are maybe the Panthers who became politicians. Something to think about. So you say you got the real true ones, now them are political prisoners still in prison, whereas you got some Panthers who have made the crossover into being very successful, well-known politicians. So what's your thought on that?
I agree with it.
Okay.
I agree with it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say a lot about it because
Right.
I don't, you can't just accuse a person of anything,
Right.
but it makes me feel like, where their loyalty really was. But I agree with that statement. I don't say it's not accurate because a lot of them have went into politics. But now, what have they, the question is, have they been effective in politics in changing some of the laws that, we have constantly been discriminated about? So I don't necessarily disagree with that because many of them have went into politics. And I'm not against going into politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just for the ones. I'm all about trying to find who's real and who's not real. Just because you go into politics don't make you legitimate.
Right.
And it don't make you not legitimate either. I won't say that it makes you not legitimate if you go into politics, but if you don't show up or if something is occurring and you missing an action, then I have to wonder what's going on. Now that's my position. That's how I feel about it. Everybody may agree or may not agree.
Yeah, that makes sense to me as well. I know, like, people in the chat, they talk about how revered. You talk about how your brother was an excellent fighter, and so a lot of people, like in the chat, was saying he was well respected by not only the Panther Party but street organizations for his fighting prowess. Like, he was very well respected. That's why he was the defense captain. And I know in the book you point out, I don't want to give too much from the book, but the fact that Fred Hampton could not trust his inner circle towards the end, he had to go reach out to your brother. And like, it seemed like in the book, your brother had a premonition that he knew that this was going to be the last dance. That y'all,
I think him and Fred both knew something was coming because it was imminent. When Mark joined the Black Panther Party, as well as Fred, I believe, from the information that I've received about Fred, when Mark joined, it was after many Black Panthers had already been killed in Oakland, California. He didn't join during the beginning in 1966. He joined in almost in the beginning of 69. In December of 68 is actually when Mark joined. And then he studied in Chicago with Chairman Fred Hampton. His plan was actually to go to Oakland, but he decided, to go ahead and train with Chairman Fred Hampton, and then set up his own organization in Peoria. And that's what he did. And he was inducted into the Black Panther Party by the top, what they call it, I can't think of the name right now, but they inducted him into the Black Panther Party. And so that's how he actually came in. When he came in, Black Panther Party was already in a battle with the police or trying to change the system that we were under, which is really what the whole purpose was. A lot of people, they tried to demonize the Black Panther Party. Now, I'm sure there are some things that they probably could come up with, but the purpose that I joined under was because there was so much discrimination going on around the country. And of course, coming out of Jim Crow and being under those Jim Crow laws, we didn't have jobs. We were being discriminated. You know what I mean? You couldn't get promotions, things of this nature. And this is really the motivating factor, I believe, that most people actually joined the Black Panther Party. Now, whether it had been infiltrated prior to us joining, I don't know. We can only speculate, you know?
Yeah, I was, you said that your brother joined in December of '68, and then I think Chairman Fred joined maybe like November, October of '68.
I
So these guys,
believe, yeah,
yeah,
somewhere along there.
yeah. So it is a year in, and just a little bit over a year they taken out of here. But I gotta ask you, 'cause I get conflicting information about your brother. Was he asleep when he got shot, or was he awake? I mean, I don't know. I heard different versions.
You know, I don't know if he was asleep. You know, according to what, I only read what I read, like everybody else. There's stories that he was asleep. Everybody was asleep. But obviously, everybody wasn't asleep because you have informants in that apartment. And I believe more than just William O'Neill personally. I believe there were other informants in there in order for this to be taken out the way it was, carried out. But that's just what I believe. I wasn't there, so I can't really say. I can't say if he was asleep or woke. All I know is there was only one shot, according to the research I did, that they assumed came from Mark's gun, and it was lodged in the ceiling of the apartment, which indicated that it went off after he had been shot.
Right.
And, and I've researched and looked over a lot of the old YouTube documentaries about what happened. So I don't know that he was asleep at the time. I don't know who was asleep. Supposedly, a lot of them were asleep, or mostly. And I would imagine most of them were asleep, but I don't know if they were asleep from sleep or they were asleep from drinking some of the Kool-Aid or what the case was, because then there's that also part about Fred Hampton being drugged.
Yes.
And that came out in the court transcripts, that at first they tried to say he wasn't, and then they came out and they did say that he had been drugged, with Seconal or some type of, believe it was Seconal. But the thing is that, I can't say what actually happened in that apartment, but what I can do is tell you who Mark was. I can tell you what he didn't do, because I know his personality. I know he didn't go to no door. I know he didn't play no games. You know what I mean? I know he knew what was getting ready to happen, but he was shot. The police shot him. The Panthers were not shooting at the police. The police raided them. The police came in with machine guns. They had all kind of weapons, just like a SWAT team. You mean to tell me you're trying to deliver? And that's another point I wanted to make. They never found any illegal weapons.
Right. I'm glad you said that.
And that was supposedly the search warrant that they had. But they never found any illegal weapons. The weapons that they found were legally there. And they basically had tried to, set it up like that. So, but like I said, I wasn't there. I really can't speak on what I don't know, but I've done a lot of research, and what I do know, I tried to share. I tried to tell the story of Mark and what he was like and what his purpose of joining. I share that in the book, what motivated him to join and what was his life like, growing up, and what made him a revolutionary. And that's what I wanted to show in the book. And by the way, Brother Ron, the book is not a big, thick book by any
No,
means.
no, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only 113 pages. I didn't put anything in the book that I didn't feel was relevant. There's no fillers in the book. I get straight to the point. But I did want to show a little bit about the country and what we were under and what led up to the assassinations of Defense Captain Mark Clark and Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm showing the book right now where they could purchase it at Amazon. So I'm showing it as you speak. I got to ask you this, because I know William O'Neill allegedly said that he did not put anything in Fred Hampton's drink. He said that, I did not do it. And like we know now, there were many more informants. And we also know that your brother and Fred was targeted by the state for assassination, because it made sure they killed your brother first and shot him in the chest. So to make sure he was getting out of there, because he was the defense captain. So he was there to defend. And so they had to take him out, and they took Fred out of here. But
absolutely.
Did you ever hear any run-ins with William O'Neill that you can recall, working with your brother with the Panthers? Did you ever encounter him?
I don't know. I didn't know anything about William O'Neill because, as you know, our branch was in Peoria, Illinois. So the only time I actually went to Chicago was the one event where they were having like a regional meeting. And Mark organized us together, and there were about 5 or 6 carloads of us that got together, and we went. And of course, now we're talking about people that are 17, 18, 19, 20, and Mark was 22 at the time. Okay. During that age, so many of us back in the 60s, we didn't have cars. It's not like you are today where kids graduate and your parents buy you a car. They feel obligated to do that. It was not like that. You didn't have a car. You walked. And we did a lot of walking. So Mark organized and got together about 6 cars, people that actually had a car and that was willing to drive. And some of them were not Black Panthers, but they were willing to participate and help Mark out because they're longtime friends. And so about 6 carloads of us went up to Chicago, and we met in Maywood, Illinois. Right across the street from Fred Hampton's home was this school. And so when we got there, there were absolutely hundreds of Panthers there that were fully dressed, black leather. I mean, it was a beautiful sight. And we marched around the schoolyard. And after we marched, military style, and they was down with it. And so from there, that's why I say there are some real Panthers in Chicago. I know there are. I don't know. And there's some that probably know a lot about what really took place. And maybe they've shared it or maybe they haven't. But I know there's some that really know the truth. And so from there, we went to Fred Hampton's home. And we were all crowded around in the yard, everywhere. It was really just a beautiful sight. Fred Hampton got up and spoke. Mark got up and spoke. And it was really just a electrifying event. But in terms of William O'Neill, I know nothing or knew nothing about William O'Neill until really not until after, and I don't think anybody knew about him until after 1973. See, they're killed in 1969. They didn't even know anything about COINTELPRO until after that event took place where these activists, which were white people, they went in and they went into Media, Pennsylvania, and stole some of those FBI files. And they didn't know anything about COINTELPRO prior to that. And then what actually happened was, I believe I read, now this is by my research. My research showed me that William O'Neill, I believe and like I said, I remember reading about he went to court and there was a trial going on. And they found out that he was an FBI informant. And I believe it was that trial for that police officer, which was a state informant. And for whatever reason, they had some type of a altercation or a disagreement of some sort. At any rate, the police officer, I believe, was, according to the records, was either fired or whatever, locked up, whatever. I don't know. But William O'Neill, now this is 1973, was put in federal protection program and was sent to California for many years. Then he comes back in 1987, somewhere around there, right? That's when he started back living in Chicago. And when he comes back, you see him eventually, and I'm not quite sure when he did the Eyes on the Prize, but he does the Eyes on the Prize, and he talks about being an FBI informant and all of that. But who does that? What FBI informant do you know will tell people I'm an FBI informant?
Right.
I mean, that's just the way I'm looking at it. That's the take that I have on it. Somebody else might have a different take on it. But that's the conclusion that I come up with. And that's why I kind of am very suspect as to whether he really did everything he said he did. He may have very well did the drawing, the blueprint of the apartment. And maybe he did and maybe he didn't. I don't really know. But according to, the transcripts of the trial, that's what they said he did. The FBI keeps transcripts of everything that they do. And they had all this written down on what they did in terms of what William O'Neill did. But they also had files on other FBI informants. And why those files were not presented, I do not know. But they were kept hush-hush. They were blacked out, and whatever the attorneys were thinking at the time, they didn't pursue it.
Now, it's interesting. I know the fight that was going on was the Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier fight of the century.
Joe Frazier, there it is.
March of 71, they broke in Media, Pennsylvania. But it's interesting what you're saying, because I gotta ask you first. If they ever do a feature-length movie or whatever about your brother, who could play your brother in your mind? Who you think would make the perfect Mark Clark as far as an actor?
Wow, I don't really keep up with a lot of actors, to be honest with you. I'm not really into Hollywood, So I don't really keep up with them. But I don't know if anybody would really want to play that role. But only person I could think of is Will Smith, because I love Will Smith. Will Smith is a bad brother, But it could be other people, I'm sure, that may be more closer to a younger age that would very well fit the role. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But just off the top of my head, he's the only one I could really think of, because he does some phenomenal acting. I love all of his work. He does a great job. Will Smith and, Denzel Washington, great actors. They can play both roles, the villain or the, of course, Will keeps it clean, but, but I don't really keep up. I'm not a follower. I don't really follow people like that.
Your brother, he's very charismatic and handsome, and highly intelligent and well respected, a true fighter. Yeah, I mean, his story needs to be told. I'm glad you told it. Has there been any other attempts besides yourself? Anybody from your family try to tell this story besides you about your brother? Okay.
Oh yeah, I have my baby sister Rose. She has a book out. There it is, Chronicles of the Seventh Son, Mark Clark. And she tells her book is it's a good book, and her book is about more growing up with the Church of God in Christ, and she talks about a lot of different things, not really just about Mark,
Uh-huh.
but she has a book out, and my niece Bridget has a children's book out.
Oh, really?
And
Wow. I'm very
gosh,
talented.
what's the name of her book? I am so sorry, Bridget, because I can't think of the name of it, but it's
People
a
go
really
look
good
it
book.
up.
It's about her Uncle
Yeah.
Mark, and she has a good book out as well. But, we're trying to tell the story. We're trying to let people know who Mark was. And my book, of course, is really about my personal relationship with Mark because I'm closer to Mark's age. You know,
Mhm.
my sister Rose, I believe, was 11 when Mark was killed, but she tells a good story. She tells a lot about the trial also.
Mhm.
Um, and then my niece Bridget, gosh, I feel so bad because I can't think of the name
Oh,
of her
we'll
book.
find the people
It's a
find we'll talk
children's
about
book, and
it.
it's really good. It
Mhm.
is really good. I'm gonna have to text it to you,
Okay.
or even let me try to look it up real quick, because I
And also,
can do that.
yeah, I'm gonna get people to hip. You got a website for your brother as well.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
show people
do.
that. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
show
I
people
do.
that.
Yeah, I created this website, and the website I created was to honor Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. And the
Mm-hmm.
name of the website is activistmarkclark.org,
Yeah, I'm showing it
O-R-G.
now.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I give homage to Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. Definitely. Got to do it, you know?
Most deaf, yes.
Had to do it. So I'm going to find my niece's book because she going to kill me if I don't give the name of her book.
Oh, so yeah. But I'm just glad the family is being very proactive in telling the story of this, very amazing individual
Definitely.
who loved his people, that he was willing to give his life for the cause.
He loved his community. He loved his people. He loved, he loved all people. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something I really want to stress.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just love Black people, he loved all people. He like me, I see people as human beings. Now, some
Right.
people are more human than others, you
Right.
know, and that's just the fact. But I really love what Martin Luther King says about judging people, and that you have to judge people by the content of their character. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I try to do. I try to judge people by the content of their character. You know,
Mm.
um, I can't think of it on Amazon. I'm gonna go to one more site. Activist Mark Clark actually does have uh, my niece's book on there as
We'll find it.
well.
Also, I got this drawing you did. You're a very talented artist. You got a lot of talent in your family. You did it, your brother right here.
Well, you know what? I really didn't even start drawing until I was 62 years of age.
Mm.
And I didn't even know I had a hidden gift. It was a gift because I spent over 30 years in nursing.
Oh wow.
Nursing was my career. I was a registered nurse for a very long time. And that's pretty much what I did. Okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to get this
Oh, you fine. You
web
good. You
page
take
to
your
come
time.
up.
Yeah, we're gonna just
But yeah,
activistmarkclark.org. Y'all go there, check it out, support.
yeah,
Gotta tell our stories.
yeah,
But I gotta ask you your take on
yeah,
what's going on right now. I mean, we still dealing with the same old stuff. This week is Derek Chauvin, the officer who
right.
killed not Eric, but George Floyd, and we still dealing with the same stuff that y'all dealt with in the 60s. What do you think
Yeah.
your brother would say right now if he was still alive in 2021? Or he just came back, and what do you think he'd be saying right now about our
He would
situation?
say that we haven't done our job. We got to stand up. That's what I think he would say. But see, this is the thing. When I say stand up, I don't necessarily mean going around protesting,
Mm-hmm.
because protesting is only going to get you so far. You have to have a game plan.
Mm.
And it's very difficult because they've been successful in separating and dividing the Black family.
Right.
You know, so in order to put that back together, it's going to take quite a bit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I just think that it's really a shame. It's a shame, and my heart goes out to all the family that have suffered. And even with the George Floyd trial, it appears that, you know, they're trying everything they can to get this police officer off. It seems that way to me. I've been kind of watching it. But the thing is that I like a guest that you had on. You had a very beautiful sister on. I believe her name is Carmen Johnson.
Yeah. Dr.
And
Carmen
she
Johnson.
told the story of how she was, they locked her up, and her story was about how they can take you, and with all the information that they have, they can present you in a very negative light, and they can actually accuse you of something that you haven't done. And that's pretty much where we're at today. A lot of our liberties are being taken from us, and we don't even see it. Many of us don't. But, you know, it's unfortunate. We need to have a game plan. And it's also unfortunate that we have had Black leaders that were real, and many of them have been killed. And then you have Black leaders that are still here, and they talk a good game, but I'm just waiting for them to present a plan. You know what I mean? It seems like, you know, we still have some work to do. We have a lot of work to do.
So the chat said, "Is Panther in the sky?" People in the chat room.
Panther in the sky. Thank
Well,
God.
thank
you. Thank you.
Several folks that said it, but I mean, people.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got an
That's
educated
my
audience
niece
here.
Bridget Jackson's book, Panther in the Sky. And it's an excellent read. It's a children's book. It is really good. Panther in the Sky. Yeah.
And also the same Casanova Bowers, they said the following. It said Mark Clark walked up to the leaders of the top gangs on the block and gave them a few choices: stop destroying our people, join, or get into fist fights. He was no nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah, so your brother
Absolutely.
got well respected. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got some Black folks from
And
Illinois.
actually, you know, Brother Ron, I do have a YouTube video.
Okay.
It's a documentary that me and my son did about a year or so ago, maybe even 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago. And the title of that is The Untold Story of Black Panther leader Mark Clark. Now, that documentary, me and my son, we went actually to Peoria, Illinois, and we interviewed the few people that I knew, that I was able to contact, and that knew Mark and that remember Mark from back in the day. You know, a lot of our people are dead and gone.
Right.
Mark would be 73 years old now. So a lot of people knew him. Now, I really wish I could have interviewed so many more people. There are a lot of other people in Peoria that do know him and remember him, and may have been Black Panther members. But unfortunately, when I left at 19, I moved away. I moved to Flint, Michigan, and then I moved to California. So I was disconnected from a lot of those people, and I wasn't able to get their contact information. But I'm seriously thinking about doing a part 2 and actually interviewing them, because I wanted them to have the opportunity to tell their story about Mark as well. Yeah.
We got the Panther in the Sky. I'm showing it, sharing the screen.
Panther in the Sky. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a beautiful children's book. Really a must read. It's really good.
Also, I got to ask you about the. I mean, it's just so timely talking to you right now. Consider your experiences and your family, what y'all have done and sacrificed for our cause, for our people, and for humanity. Situation with woke activism or celebrity activism is getting a lot of trending these days. People complain about certain people making their names off the exploitation of Black death, or is the perception of the exploitation of Black death. You know, Tamir Rice mom came out and criticized some of the people who have benefited from Black death, and it's like nothing's being done to really get us social justice, but people are getting a bag, but not necessarily social justice. What are your thoughts about what's going on today with the so-called activism movement of today? Or
well, I mean, you know, there are a lot of different organizations, and I don't really want to call anyone out.
Right.
One in particular, I'm not going to say the name of it, but it has a good slogan. I'll put it that way. The problem with, and if this is just my opinion, people can take it for what they want. The problem with joining a lot of these newfound organizations that go out and demonstrate and get caught up in these demonstrations, the problem with that is that just like William O'Neill infiltrated the Black Panther Party and many others infiltrated it, it's very easy to infiltrate some of these so-called movements that have a catchy slogan name, and you think you're doing something that's promoting or uplifting your people, when in reality, a lot of these people that infiltrate these organizations are paid informants or paid instigators that come in and that destroy property, and then you get blamed for that because they're under your umbrella. So you have to really do a lot of research before you start going out and joining any organization, to me, because a lot of these organizations are not about the deaths of these Black men that we've seen for the past 10 years.
Right.
If you go all the way back to, well, all of them. There have been so many, it's ridiculous. And so they come in saying a catchy slogan, but unless you actually are doing something to try to change the laws that support these things, support police brutality, then what are you really doing? That's my opinion about it. There are some good celebrities that I truly admire and I think is doing an awesome job. And the main one is Ice Cube.
Okay.
That brother is on his. Now that's my opinion. You know what I mean? I'm gonna always speak positive about him because I see where he's going and where he's coming from.
Right.
He's putting it out there. So there are some that are out there doing some real positive work, but you have to be careful about these organizations because really they have their own agenda. They have multiple different agendas, but and all of them may very well be good agendas, but if they're not about stopping the brutality against our Black people, that's not an agenda that I need to support. I'll support that after we support this. This is the top agenda. You know what I mean? Their agenda doesn't rise to the level of Blacks being killed, Black and brown people being murdered. It doesn't rise to that level. So if you're a part of an organization that's talking about that, then we can look into it. But if you got all these other agendas going on, I can't even go there. But now that's my opinion.
Hey, somebody, this chat is interesting. They really enjoying you, and
They
they
gonna get
really
on my
interested.
case. See, I put it out there because I keep it real. I'm sorry. This is the way I was born to
I
be.
don't need to
And I'm
apologize.
gonna put it out there. Everybody ain't gonna agree with me. My family don't always agree.
That's beautiful, though. You just be
But
yourself.
they
Now,
know
people.
I will stand with what I'm saying unless they can show me otherwise.
Now we had a person in the chat. Well, wow, L23. He said that Trey Byers could play your brother. What do you think about that? Do you see the
Well, he's
picture?
fine. He's a fine young brother. He could do it.
He could do it. So wow, thank you.
He
Wow,
could do it.
they said a couple of people, but people, I mean, I'm
I ain't mad at him.
as a brother from Empire and Selma, actually. But
I ain't mad at him.
hey man, if somebody said something, I'm trying to find that picture of somebody else. But thank you. I mean, I really appreciate your candidness and also your honesty and just for being who you are, for being a light
Thank you
in this
so
world.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can be. I try to keep it real. I hope that people will understand it's not my purpose to hurt or harm anyone else. I'm on a whole nother level. It's all about rising, raising my vibration and living a truthful life. But I have to tell the truth as I see it. If somebody can present something that is different, hey, I'm all willing to recant something I've said, but this is how I look at it. And I thank you so much, Brother Ron, for having me on.
Oh yeah,
Thank you so much. You're
it's
doing
an
an
honor.
awesome job too, man.
I appreciate
You're
it.
doing an awesome job.
But I know what people said in the chat, they've been really trolling me about my appearance and stuff. I don't really care about all that. But they were saying my grandma told me don't trust a black man with no beard and mustache. But your brother didn't have no beard or mustache. Fred Hampton didn't have no beard or mustache. Malcolm
But
sometimes
for
didn't
a
have no
while,
beard
he
or
did
mustache.
carry a little short beard and mustache. But I love a man with a beard and mustache. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Now they will agree with you, but
Okay.
they don't trust a black man without a beard or mustache. They were saying.
Yeah.
But I guess people like their beard and mustache thing. But it's yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation. Very enlightening and refreshing to hear, especially for somebody who's been on the so-called quote unquote front lines doing this work for a long time.
Yeah, thank you so much again, Brother Ron. You, like I said, you're doing an awesome job. I love your program. We All Be TV, and then you have Judge O'Brown on. You got Dr. Umar Johnson. You got some real greats on, and there's one other brother that I don't know if you've had on, but you should really consider having him on, Brother
Okay.
Bob Brown.
That's the
Bob
founder of
Brown
the
is
Illinois
a
Black Panther,
wealth
right?
of information.
Someone that's the founder
And
of the Illinois Black Panther Party, right? Bob Brown.
yes,
Are
yes,
you still around? Bob Brown's still around.
yes. I spoke with him a couple of weeks ago. I'm in contact with him.
I would love
But
to have
he's
him
a
on.
he's a bad brother. He got some information for you. So keep him in mind.
Yeah, I definitely want to get his contact information if that's okay. I mean, I definitely would be interested in interviewing him.
Well, I will contact him and see is he, willing to do that. I definitely will do that.
Okay, and somebody else, I want to just share one more thing. Somebody else made the suggestion of this might be the guy who could play your brother as well. I'm just fascinated by people. People are really intrigued by this story and about your brother.
Wow.
Yeah, like I gotta share. The chat room, we got a lot of educated people. They very with it. Let me see your take on that. Could you pull it off? This Corey.
He look good.
Okay.
He looks good.
Okay.
I can't really see his face up close because I'm doing this on my phone.
Yeah.
So I can't really see. I got glasses on. I still can't really see him up close. Show me his whole face.
Okay, let me see.
Okay. All right. I don't know him. I would judge him based on his acting ability.
Well, I know. I remember.
That's really what it's all about. It's really about acting ability.
Oh, most definitely.
I can't quite hear you.
I can't. It's like buzz. I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's COINTELPRO and NSA. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. I had a phone call that came in.
Oh, yeah, it happened.
We were
It happened like
talking.
that. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think I saw him in that Tupac movie, All Eyes. He played some type of composite character based on, I guess, Haitian Jack, whatever. But he's a decent actor. But who would you want to be the director of the movie? Then you got an ideal director for a movie about your
You know
brother?
what? Can you hear me okay, Brother Ron?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hardly hear you. I think
Oh,
when I got that phone call that
got
came
knocked
in,
out. Okay.
it for whatever reason, I can't really hear you very well. But
Okay.
so because I'm gonna have to probably reset my phone, I think we can probably cut it short for right now
Oh, definitely. That'd be
because I can't
yeah.
really hear what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll cut it short. I want to thank you, Sister Gloria, for spending some time with us, sharing this wealth of knowledge, and for giving your perspective, unapologetic and uncensored. We appreciate it so much on this platform, and we love you
There it
back.
is. Thank you so much, Brother Ron. You have a great day too.
You too.
Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's an honor. And like I said, y'all can get her book at Amazon, Soul of a Black Panther, about her brother Mark Clark. It's available on Amazon. And people said in the chat they already ordered theirs. You know, people say it's coming tomorrow or whatever.
Absolutely.
So it's an
Mark
honor to share
Clark,
this story.
Soul of a Black Panther.
That's right.
Be good.
Be good. Power to
Bye-bye.
people. All right. And thank you, family, for tuning in to this edition of the Artivist presents We All Be News, Radio, and TV. And it's still news free Dixie for the 21st century. And like I said, I don't really give a damn about y'all clowning me about my look. I really don't give a damn. I just got to live for myself, and I love myself more than you hate my look. But I thank all the people who was open to receiving the information that we presented on this platform. Like, I have studied Fred Hampton's life for 21 years. That's how long he lived on the planet. And it's good to see more people talking about the other person who died that night on December, who life was taken away from us on December 4th, 1969. That's Defense Captain Mark Clark. So that's why we do the shows that we do. I don't know any other platforms that does it like we do it on We All Be TV, and it's an honor to serve the people. As you know, today is the get it right. It's the second, what is it, 2-year anniversary of the killing or the assassination of Nipsey Hussle out in Los Angeles. Got taken away from us at the age of 33. That's the Jesus number, 33. And so the marathon continues. The stuff don't stop till the casket drops. And thank y'all for tuning in. We have some other great shows coming up very soon. Down in April. I can't believe it's gonna be April tomorrow. It's my birthday month, my life affirmation day month. So thank y'all for tuning in. And like I said, man, our people, thank you, Liberate My People, for the Do Nation, man. Like I said, you can't be thin skinned serving black people. Like, we got a lot of self-hatred issues, and I do what I do because I love myself and I love my people, and don't really give a damn about trying to please people, man, because I don't live my life in trying to please people. I'm about to be 41 years old. I know good damn well I don't look like I'm 60 something years old. I don't give a damn about what you think about that. But this next second act is dedicated to me living my best life, doing the things I want to do, doing the way I want to do it, because I pay the cost to be the boss and the architect of my destiny. So that's how I see it. So whatever you get from me, it's a bonus at this point, because I don't have to give anything to anybody. And I only got to give the best of me to me. I got to be accountable to me. So when I do the things I do, like this show today, this is things that interest me, and I share it with the people because we are here to serve. Well, I'm here to serve, and I don't mind serving, but at the same time, I'm not interested in being your friend either. I don't need no drinking buddies. I don't need a F buddy. I just need to be a friend, to be kind, forgiving, and loving towards myself. So with that said, I'm wrapping it up. Thank Sister Gloria. Support that sister. Buy the book on Amazon.com. Soul of a Black Panther. Support her niece, Panther in the Sky. Support that book. Go to the website, activistmarkclark.org. And also, like, she talked about the documentary about her brother going back to Peoria to interview those people. Check it out on YouTube. So I see some of y'all say y'all already shared it in the chat. So thank y'all for supporting this platform, and for the people who give me positive energy and vibes to keep it going, for the encouragement. Thank you so much. And for the haters, y'all my biggest fans, and I'm gonna keep on doing what I want to do, so you can even hate on me even more to make my platform grow. So that's how it goes. So thank y'all so much. Support the movement. Cash App $R2C2H2. You can PayPal, Google Pay, and what is that? Zelle your support, R2C2H2 at gmail.com. You can Venmo your support at R2C2H2. You can buy Artivist art, R2C2H2.com. You can wear Artivist gear. Get that. Go below to the description box on YouTube to our Teespring official website. That's R2C2H2's place. So, and for the people that you don't let your people talk, I gotta talk, goddammit, because I want to talk. This is my platform. I'm tired of people. You gotta let people talk. You gotta let people. Y'all don't let people talk. Y'all don't even. Sometimes y'all don't even listen. Y'all too busy. Y'all hear, but do you listen? You know, this is interesting work that I do. You know, I don't get all. I should have over 100,000 subscribers. I'm gonna say it like that. There's no way I don't have over 100,000 subscribers. But I know why. If I did it for the likes and for all that type of stuff, for the social media credit, I won't be doing what I do. Because a lot of y'all try to do podcasts. I've been doing this for a long time. A lot of y'all quit after 1 or 2, 3 times of doing it. And the only way you can fail in life if you quit. If you never quit, you can never fail. That's the hallmark of success. Being consistent, even when you don't want to be consistent. That's how you get success. You practice when you don't want to practice so you can win. So you got to look at the long term and the long vision and long goals. So yeah, you know, I preach, like I said, haters are the biggest fans. I'm not interested. If you don't love me or like me because I don't have no hair on my face, I give a damn. I love me. Because if I didn't love me, I wouldn't be right now talking and doing the work I do. I'd be depressed, be suicidal. Because if I accept how y'all view me or how y'all think of me and all that stuff, if that really mattered, I would not even want to go outside. I would have probably took myself out the planet years ago. But that's what happened when your whole life got to deal with bullies, whether it be individuals or entities, whether it be the bully on the schoolyard or the damn IRS. True story. You ain't gonna take me out like you think you're gonna take me out. I'm gonna take me out. And people say, "Oh, brother, run." Look, bro, I can run 6 miles with a mask on without stopping. Don't worry about my health and what I eat and don't eat. Don't worry about my weight. I'm taking care of me. And the best thing people can do instead of worrying about, I can't believe he took that stuff. I thought he was B1. Worry about yourself. You can't save nobody but yourself. So I want to thank y'all for listening. The words of Great Duke Elton. We love you badly. I keep on producing and push. I don't care about no people that don't show their face, man. I want to play too. It's like when Kevin Durant responded to Michael Rappaport. You know, Kevin Durant responded and Michael Rappaport want to lawyer up. These folks can't stand on no truth. They hide behind avatars. This is make-believe. This is not even reality. Reality is when you got to get up in the morning and meditate for an hour saying, why God? Why me? Somebody say, you get the why me face. Yeah, I'm black, man. I do have a why me face. I'm a black man in America. They trying to marginalize and eradicate and emasculate black men. See, what we talked about today, what's missing in our movement? Strong, stand-up black men. Men like Mark Clark. Men like Fred Hampton Sr. They don't want us on the scene. And you can't have a real people's movement without a black man leading the charge. But yet all I see is black girl magic, black girl toxicity, black girl this, black girl this. We're going to put money into black women, F these black boys, put black boys in dresses, shut them up, put lipstick on them, put makeup on them. We need to bring back the black men. You can't protect black women without raising black men. This is why Brother Ron does what he does. He could give a damn about what you got to say or think about how I look or act, because I'm not the fattest, I'm not the ugliest, and I'm not the dumbest. So I ain't gonna even receive nothing that people say about that otherwise. I'm a good looking dude, very talented, have accomplished some things. I'm gonna accomplish more things. The longer I live, the more I accomplish. It's like, you think about Kanye West. People hate on Kanye West, but everything he did, he did. He put his mind to it, he accomplished, and then he succeeded wildly so. So if I don't believe in me, then it doesn't matter what I do for anybody else, because y'all can't receive it because a lot of y'all don't believe in yourselves. But I'm here to stay, and the best is yet to come. So with that said, y'all go and do your thing, and I'm about to get out of here. And I'm gonna be back again. I'm gonna show my face again because I love myself. You don't have to stay here, but this is my house. I run this, okay? And nobody does it like we all be and Brother Ron. Nobody does what I do the way I do it. I'm great. So y'all be great. God bless. One love.